This is a collaboration. We don't have a title, and we don't have an introduction. The seas and rivers. You'll notice that. Let's start. Someone in a house somewhere had thrown all the old suitcases onto the landing. One leather bag bulging with what looked like limbs under the rough flesh of its flanks, a monster struggling to get born, swelled taut until its zip burst and outgushed water, which then flowed down the stairs and flowed on, clear but fierce forever. I realised then that this was the source of the river.
Gently down the stream, a dream, a rill. Perfect, the bright blue lighting, the sleepscape gloom, sparkling water lighting up your face as you lean over to catch your breath. Snatch a glimpse of a shadow reflected. 4 walls contain you and this rill, a room, its drapes yanked too against the night garden. Merrily, 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 rill, rill, rill.
It didn't take long for this river, its banks, grass pathways, its flow shouldering those oxbow lakes of our school days to become song. I hear Paul Robeson singing Old Man River, but this is a dream. It flows into his No More Auction block, which blends along the flow of history into We Shall Overcome. It pours past T.S. Eliot, jettisoning the Mississippi's, quote, cargo, unquote, of, quote, human veins, unquote. Why?
Here was I, trying to buy a silk scarf to protect against these elements, but that lake view was cliché, man-made, and my friend's legs snagged in an upcycled bear trap, blood-staining powder-coated steel, so the moment was gone. I move on, take a tour of the river's flood defences, sheer drops left and right like city ramparts breached. Waves slip-slop in the water meadows, spent teasels lose their grip, old nuts, sweet and hoarse, stand beached up to their knees.
They wouldn't let us cross the bridge, the river up to the apex of its arches, the torrent gushing, carrying its cargo of wine bottles, garden furniture, smashed debris, astonished fish strangled in weed. We stood and watched the eddies swirling like eyes of Jupiter on a vicious, viscous surface, its vertiginous depth drawing the mind into impossible promises. La Vratava, Prague, 2002. Astronomical clock stopped.
Stop all the clocks, silence the pianos, sling the hook, clamber over the side, shimmy down the chain and slip into the water. Let's wade, let's wander through sykes and sandbanks. Let's saunter as our thoughts turn estuarine. Let's meander across marshes and mudflats and margins. Drag our feet, imprint a pattern, create a ripple effect. Let's spy the sea, then sneak back on ourselves, loop the loop, as if that open mouth suddenly is too much to face head on.
Riverine thoughts. This is where they knew. For all their talk of Malthus and Christ, they knew. Only the broad, shallow ships were for the African trade. Riparian observation, that seal sighted in the choppy estuary bobs its dark head. Another cargo. It plummets, but we don't see it again. Cormorants play this trick too, as we point where we think the river ends and the sea begins. Open mouth, an ocarina for the breath of the ocean.
See the brown eddy as we lock out at Brunswick. The man in skins trudge from the port to Oglet's shore. Spy dungeon saltworks, wartime dragon's teeth, Victorian potsherds, vulcanite stoppers, Bristol blue glass. Mudlarkers, beachcombers, scrub, scrape, scour a channel for our long keel to sleek that stretch between cityscape and peninsula. island with its own archipelago of birds and birders. Let's lark, let's comb, let's peer through that murk when the sky meets the sea.
The sky never meets the sea, not with Hilber Island, floating in sand and air, sandy air, airy sand, and its mirage of incoming water that blinds us to the spot. Let's now head back towards the lighthouse, while sand is still stable, while thought is still fixed on homing. The long tide's cargo cult has made a god of an old oil drum with seaweed hairdo. The dripping suitcase is going nowhere until the next tide. Let's head back, keeping watch over our rolling shoulders.
Hilby Isle, middle eye, little eye, what do you spy? Lanterns and their keepers, rigs and their riggers, wind farms and windy millers, black shags on belled buoys on buildings, 100 sea-slimed metal men guarding rubble. We're in international waters now. Babel, babble, bubble. Speak to me in the language of lights and shapes, baubles of shooting stars bright blue, red angles of red-crested cranes, pyramids of yellow flares, of green nuns. All life is here.
Thank you.